Welcome to the Thrift Store Kitchen Review, where I test all the weird junk from the thrift store so you don't have to. Welcome to today's edition of the Thrift Store Kitchen Review. One day, somebody, possibly while under the influence of a certain narcotic, came up with an idea. What if you don't need to cook bundt cake in an oven? What if you could cook it in a bundt cake waffle iron? And somebody else at the company said, you know what? You're a genius. Let's do it. And I happened to find this device. This here would be the Alex by Dash bundt cake maker. And I picked it up at a Goodwill in Hickory Flat, Georgia for only $6.99. So let's go ahead and examine our bundt cake iron. First of all, who is Alex? Alex Guarnaschelli. Well, who is Alex Guarnaschelli? I had to look it up. She was or is a Food Network personality and was a judge on Iron Chef America. Now, this base, what's funny about it, you look at it, and obviously the people at Dash had a surplus of waffle iron bases because it clearly has the spot here where the splash plate goes. But when you look at the manual for it online, this thing never actually came with a splash plate. You open it up and it has your bottom, your top, and then it has this lifting plate to remove the cake. Basically, you fill it with batter and you have to make sure that is perfectly in place. And then you rotate it and let it cook for about 15 minutes or less. And then when the cake is done, you turn it back over, open it up, and lift the cake out. Now, why they angled the lifter like this instead of like this, I have no clue. God forbid they do something logical. Now, the other interesting fact I was able to find about this bundt cake maker, because I had never seen this before, I honestly don't know if it was ever actually available in stores. It seems like it was primarily sold on QVC. So what we're about to do, I am about to whip up some batter and we are going to be making the traditional Bacardi rum cake recipe tonight. Now, if you've never had the Bacardi rum cake, it is one of the most delicious and easiest cakes to make that there are. So the first ingredient is we're going to take a full box of yellow cake mix, which I have right here, into the bowl. Next ingredient is a box of vanilla pudding mix. Straight into the mixing bowl as well. Next ingredient is 4 eggs. All right, after the eggs, you add your liquid ingredients. You have half a cup of water, half a cup of oil, and then half a cup of rum. You can use either clear rum or dark rum. I prefer the dark rum. So next, I'm going to go ahead and attach the blade. And just an aside, this KitchenAid is one of my proudest thrift store finds ever. Believe it or not, I only paid $20 for this thing. It works great and it had all the attachments with it. So then I'm going to let this run and get this batter mixed. And once it's done, we're gonna go ahead and test out the bundt cake iron. Okay, so it's time to test the machine. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and get it plugged in. The red light is on, and once the green light's on, it means that the machine is preheated and ready to go. And once that happens, we are going to go ahead and spray it and put our batter in. Now, I'm hoping this machine works because this size of bundt cake is perfect for like holiday gifts for friends and family and stuff like that. Because a full size, that's a lot of ingredients and a lot of time, and then you have those little mini makers which are just kind of stupid and pointless. But this one is a happy medium, so I really hope that this thing produces a good product. Okay, the green light's on, so let's go ahead and open it up. So the first thing I want to do is, it said I want to give it a very generous spraying. You can also use oil here. Now, one thing with the Bacardi rum cake, when you cook it in the oven, one way that people do make it is to fill the bottom of the pan with chopped walnuts or pecans. Now, unfortunately, I'm not sure that would be feasible with this machine because once you flip it over, the nuts might sink into the batter. Plus, I don't really like it that way. For me, it's fine without the nuts. So let's go ahead and fill it. I've gone ahead and transferred the batter to this bowl to make it easier to pour. So I'm going to get the bottom of it filled up. Did say to be careful not to pour directly onto the middle. All right, that looks good. So now I'm going to close the iron, flip it, and it does say 13 to 15 minutes, but I'm probably going to check it at about 11. Okay, we're right about at the 11-minute mark, so I want to go ahead and flip this back over and check it. Machines like this tend to run way hotter than they should, and one drawback with this is it doesn't have a built-in temperature control, which it should. So let's take a look. Oh my god, the top of that cake is burnt. Yeah, when I prick it with the skewer, it is most definitely done. So let me go ahead and take this one out and transfer it to the plate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make another cake. Go ahead and get it sprayed and fill it again, and this time I'm going to check it right about 10 minutes flat. A little more in there. Now, the good thing with the Bacardi rum cake is that we're not done with it yet. We still have to add the glaze, which should cover up a bit of the burn. So in about 10 minutes, we'll pull this out and see how it looks. Okay, here we are at the 10-minute mark. Let's take a look. Even at 10 minutes, the top seems to burn, and it seems to cook more unevenly on this side than this side. Yep, that one is ready to go. Let me go ahead and plate this one. Put this back in. And now it's time for cake number 3. So spraying it down one more time. Let me just see what happens if I put the batter in this side first. Just try to get it in there as quickly as possible. Now this one is going to be a little bit smaller, so I'm probably going to check it just a little bit earlier. Probably at the 8 or 9 minute mark. This thing cooks very, very quickly. So let me get this turned over. Now in the meantime, what I want to do is this first cake. Now normally with these I wouldn't cut the cake yet, but I do want to at least get a bite to see how the cake itself turned out. I mean, it's not bad. The taste of the burnt spots isn't overpowering or anything. So in a couple minutes, we'll come back, we'll pull the cake out, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, time to check cake number 3. Yeah, this one did not come out too good. I looked like I messed it up because there just wasn't enough batter left. Well, at least half of it came out good. And it's weird, even though I put it in this side first, the cake that was on this side still managed to burn. So it seems this machine cooks somewhat unevenly. So I'm going to go ahead and unplug it, and then I'm going to continue to let these cakes cool, and I'm going to make the glaze for this cake. So now I'm about to go to the stove and make the glaze. I do need to purchase a portable induction cooker or something for when I need to use the stove so I can show it here, but I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do to make the glaze. First thing, I'm going to melt a stick of butter, and then I am going to combine it with a 1/4 cup of water and 1 cup of sugar to make the base. Then I remove it from the heat, and then I add rum. And once that's combined, I basically punch a bunch of little holes into the cakes with a skewer and fill them up with rum, sugar, and butter. Okay, so I've gone ahead and made my base for the glaze. Now I'm going to add the rum. It's supposed to be 1/2 cup, but I accidentally went just a little over. So you pour it in here, and then you mix it up, and you have your glaze. Now what I need to do is prick some holes in these cakes. Okay, and then basically I just start spooning it over. Now, you can also use a turkey baster for this. Unfortunately, I do not know where the bulb for my turkey baster is, so I'm having to do this the hard way. But you want to get these cakes nice and liquored up. And then you don't want to eat it as soon as you pour the glaze. You want to give it a few minutes to soak into the cake, because that's where the flavor really comes from. So I'm going to get these cakes nice and drunk, and then in a few minutes, we're going to try them. Okay, so as you can see, you want these cakes so full of the rum glaze that they literally cannot hold any more. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and cut off a little piece of that first one we already cut into. There's so much glaze here, I can just dip it in more at the bottom of the plate, and let's see how it tastes. Other than the little bit of burn flavor, it is pretty good. Now, with these cakes also, the longer the glaze has to sit in there, the better the cake becomes. And this is a cake that 3-4 days later will taste even better than it does on day number 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the Bundt cake maker cleaned up, and then we're going to give it its final test. I've cleaned up the Bundt cake maker, I've plugged it back in. Now it's time to find out, will it glizz? So how am I going to cook a hot dog in here? Got some options. So what I'm going to try is, I've left this heating for a few minutes so that the lifting plate can get nice and hot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and lay the hot dog here, and then try to get near the center and put this lift plate on top of it, and hopefully we can get both sides of the hot dog. Now, unfortunately, like this, we can't get the machine closed. So I'm going to let it cook like this for a few minutes, and if it's not working, we'll try some other options. Time to take our initial look at the hot dog. So let me remove the plate. Seems to be cooking a little. How's the bottom of that hot dog doing? Oh yeah, that's definitely doing better on the bottom than on the top. So maybe the lift plate isn't necessarily helping. So let me turn the hot dog back down and use the machine as intended. Rotate it and we'll see how it looks in just a couple more minutes. Alright, let's flip the machine back over and see what the hot dog looks like now. Yeah, it's definitely cooking, seems to have rolled back onto where it was cooking before, so I'm just going to roll it over. Meanwhile, I think I'll throw the bun in there, let that get a little bit of toast to it. Let this cook for just a few more moments, and then the hot dog should be about done. Let's see how that bun's doing. I don't want that to burn. Put it open side down for a minute. Get a little bit on the sides of this hot dog too while we're at it. Let me flip the bun now this way, try to get it all over. Get the other side of the hot dog. It is starting to plump up. That side that was down has some color to it for sure. Flip that bun one last time. Alright, gonna go ahead and pull the bun. Seems to have gotten a little bit of toast on it. Take one last look at the hot dog. Yeah, that looks done. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull that. Let me bust it open, make sure it's done inside. Yeah, that's nice and hot. Let me take a bite. Not bad. I mean, it's not the best or most efficient way to cook a hot dog, but it works. So I'm going to unplug this, let it cool down, clean it up one last time, and then I'll be back to give you my final verdict on the Alex by Dash Bundt cake maker. So what is my final verdict on the Alex by Dash Bundt cake machine? Well, it's not a bad machine, but it's got a lot of flaws and drawbacks. Number one is the uneven cooking. You saw how on one side of the cake, the top of it got kind of burnt, where it didn't happen as much on the other. Now, with the cakes we made, with the rum cakes, this would be a drawback, especially if you're going to give it to somebody, because even though it didn't really burn enough to heavily affect the taste, cakes are something that you present to people, and you want them to look good. Now, if you're making a cake that you're going to ice, it wouldn't be as much of a problem, but it's still a problem. The other big drawback with this machine is its lack of a temperature control to begin with. This thing is set up like a rotating Belgian waffle iron. Those things all have temperature control on them. Why they didn't add one to this, I'll never guess. However, this thing had good things going for it as well. It worked, and it worked very efficiently. And like I had mentioned before, the size of the cake you get is a happy medium between those stupid miniature Bundt cake makers and having to make a full-size cake. At least with this, you're able to make the ingredients go further and, like I said, be great around the holidays for making little cakes as gifts for like family and friends. So if you ever find one of these at the right price, as I said, it's not a bad machine. It's good enough while not being great. Well, thank you for joining us on the Thrift Store Kitchen Review. Be sure to subscribe. Follow us on the Facebook linked in the description below. We're also on TikTok now, and I've also linked that down below as well. Be sure to tell your friends about us. Drop us a line down there in the comments section. Get out there and support your local thrift store, and have a wonderful day.